We are
Yeah.
here to talk about film,
Yes, we are. The
directing,
cinematic arts.
writing, producing,
Hmm.
anything,
Editing.
anything and everything.
Hmm.
What do you do in film?
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm Andy Compton. I'm a screenwriter, a
Hold
director.
on, hold on. The question that always bugged me, like bothered me, like I couldn't sleep at night. Is Compton your real last name?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. I
Very
think
cool.
the city was before me, but I think it's an English last name. I'm pretty sure. I've never done a 23 and Me or any ancestry, anything.
Okay.
But I think that my dad's side of the family, he's just an Indiana white guy. And
All
I
right.
think that we're English on that side. I don't know, but my mom is Japanese. We're Okinawan on that side. So but yeah, I think it's an English last name. Yeah,
Very
I'm
cool.
Andy Compton. I'm a screenwriter, a director, and you could sort of say a producer and an editor and a sound guy. And I've done a few things, but no, mainly what I do right now, just making short films here in Missouri. I'm a screenwriter, director, and a producer and editor.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So what
Mhm.
what do you have to say about directing? How's
Hang
that
on,
treating you?
is this what it is? Is this like the first episode of your podcast? Like, is
No,
it an
no, it's
interview or
not.
is it
Like
a
I just really
conversation?
wanted to make a conversation. So you feel free to ask
Okay.
me some questions too, so if you
Okay.
want.
Well, what do you do in film, Marina?
Well, let's see. I pretty much same. Direct,
Yeah.
write, produce, edit. So I'm currently editing a short film. I am in pre-production for a project that I can't talk about.
All
Well, no,
right.
actually,
Exciting.
actually I can, but like it's such an early stage of pre-production. So yeah,
It's also just cooler
there's
to say that you
nothing to
can't
talk
talk
about.
about it.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, like
Yeah.
it makes you mysterious, and the more
Hmm.
mysterious you are, I feel like the more successful you are in this bit. Like
Hmm.
people who have 10 posts on Instagram and like millions of
Hmm.
followers, I'm like,
Hmm.
you are so mysterious, sir. Like, what is going on? So yeah, same
Hmm.
concept.
Hmm.
But yeah, editing, producing. So lately I've been really into producing and kind of like a business side of filmmaking.
Hmm.
Legal side, I'm really attracted to that for some reason. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Don't you work in insurance?
I do. Thank you for
Mhm.
asking.
Yeah. 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 Well,
uh,
I kind of just made it a
I
statement.
do.
You
Yeah.
work in
So
insurance.
I do. And
Yeah.
fun fact is that these two industries intersect in some type of way.
Yeah.
And lately I've been doing some production insurance,
Hmm.
and just looking into, what type of insurance films need,
Hmm.
anything in and around entertainment might need. So I'm really curious about that. And,
Hmm. Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's awesome that you found a way where, like, as you're climbing the ranks and hopefully going to make film your full-time job soon, that you found a place where your day job can intersect with film, and
uh,
that's pretty cool.
like, to be honest, Andy, what is full-time job anymore? It feels like
Marina, I don't know. Go on.
it feels like you're just kind of grinding and grinding and grinding,
Mm,
different industries, different activities. And so my philosophy on that is I don't want to hate my day job, day
mhm.
job.
Yeah.
I still want to like what I do. Because I do that, like the most of my day is that,
Mhm.
and I do want to find joy in it, which
Yep.
I am doing.
Mhm.
And I kind of want to bring my two worlds together and help my filmmaker friends, also help my insurance friends, kind of like have them have these worlds, combine these worlds in some type of way. Like I just lost my train of thought, but anyway, you
No,
got you
yeah.
get
Yeah,
it.
it makes total sense. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree. My day job right now is filming weddings mostly. I also do some
that's fun.
corporate video stuff, but like yeah, it can be seen as soul sucking, and a lot of times when I talk about it to film people, like the joke is that it's like a soul sucking gig.
Hmm.
But honestly, like, I don't hate it. If I absolutely hated it, I probably wouldn't be doing it still. It's fine. It's fine for where I'm at right now in my film career, and it's paying the bills, but it's also not like, a demanding typical 9 to 5 kind of thing, like the kind of job where you hate
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
I'm out and about and I'm talking to people and I'm sort of directing a little bit, but I'm operating a camera, even though it's just a Sony A7S III on a
Okay.
gimbal. It's still
Is it the
filmmaking.
one that shoots like very well in low light or something? Is
It
that the
is,
one?
yeah. They're pretty incredible in
Oh,
low light,
okay.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and they have like amazing touchscreen autofocus. That's really cool. You just, you touch a person as they're moving, and it usually like Sony's autofocus technology, like it'll recognize a face. And if you
Okay.
tap it once, no matter where that face goes in the frame, it'll just follow it on its own with perfect focus.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool. Like it's fun to mess around with those cameras, but it's fun to try to, get my filmmaker brain involved in that too, so it doesn't have to be like a bland wedding video, but I can try to like, you know, think of cool shots, creative shots.
Oh, that's so cool. If only they knew you're famous.
They don't know. No, I mean, I have thought about it'll be hilarious if I like make it in film and
Yeah.
any of them are like movie people. And
Yeah.
they're like, dude, that is the guy who shot our wedding, isn't it? Like
And now
15
we
years
are
ago.
divorced. Yeah.
And now we're divorced. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah, I'm never seeing one of his movies. Oh, where are we at on swearing in this? You want me to
If,
hold back?
yeah, no. Mm-mm.
No? Okay,
No,
cool.
no
That's
holding
that's what
back.
I do on my podcast. It's
No
like,
holding back. Yeah, I
okay,
know. I
cool.
know.
Yeah, you're like, I've noticed it's disturbing.
I've noted I actually really enjoy your podcast. It's really like
Oh,
informative, and you bring in all those writers on to
mhm,
talk about what they do. It's kind of cool.
mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
plug it right now. The Social Screenwriters Podcast. It's
Okay.
on like Spotify and Apple and yeah, wherever
Yeah,
else.
it's okay. Shameless self-promotion. But I
You got to
wanted
do it.
to, you got to do it, of course. I wanted to talk to you about, because it seems like from you what you're posting, right? That
Mhm,
you're making short films literally every weekend.
mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if
Mhm.
that's true. So how
Yeah.
many short films have you filmed this year, 2023?
Yeah, so this year is by far the most I've ever done. Like basically my
Uh-huh.
first film I made in short film, I made in 2018. It's a short film called Donor. I made as my first student film and no one will ever see it. So don't ask.
Aw,
I
never
figure
say
one day,
never.
maybe if I like make it to the point where I'm just a totally confident filmmaker, I might put it out just for fun. But there's like a kill scene at the end of the movie that's so awfully orchestrated by me. I had no fucking idea how to do a kill scene. Never even like watched a like stunt video on YouTube of like here's how you film like a stabbing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I just went in just like nah, I'll figure it out, and it was really hard. And then in 2019, I made another student film. The pandemic happens. 2021, we released a film called Ethan and Edna. That was
I
kind
love
of,
that one.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
one that kind of got us a little bit of attention and just around locally in St. Louis. And then then the next thing I did was last year in the winter of 2022, so 1 year ago we got together and did a really small 2 day shoot for a film called Captcha. It's a short film, and we dropped that in March of 2023. So that's where this year begins. We dropped Captcha in March of 2023. Then we shot one in June. We shot one in August. We shot one in September. And we just shot one again in October. So we did four. Three of them I directed. Well, two I directed on my own. One I co-directed, and then one was my friend Zach, and I ran sound and like produced. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, it's been an insane year. Like before hopping on here, I was editing one of them. But yeah, it's all the work is done. That's what we wanted to do, and like I'll put it out there too. We never planned to do this
Yeah.
ambitious year. What it was we had one film that we wanted to do, and me and my friend Zach was the DP of Captcha, and
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to co-direct something just for fun. And so we co-wrote a script called Nonstop, and we were going to shoot it. And in July was our shoot date, and then we found out at the last the last minute that this location we had in Illinois, this like old farmhouse that was built in like the 1880s or something, it didn't have air conditioning. And we're like, in Missouri, the summers get so bad. It's like, 100 degrees, 105 degrees with a
Yeah.
heat index of like 120.
Yeah.
So it would be impossible to shoot there for multiple days. It would be miserable. So we're like, shit. All right, I guess we have to push. That sucks. And it was like, well, what if in the meantime we like tried to do some small, um, some smaller films? And I got very fortunate too after CAPTCHA that I know I'm trailing off here, but a woman reached out to me online on social media, and she wanted to talk, to have a Zoom, and she's a producer, and she's LA based, and she wanted to talk, and we get on the Zoom, and she was like, hey, yeah, I just seen a couple of your short films and I really like what you're doing. And I'm in a place right now in my career where for the first time I have like a little bit of expendable income, and I was wondering if I could maybe like help you out and give you a little funding just to like help you get things going. And I was like, yeah, that would be amazing. No one has ever offered me anything like that. Like Ethan and Edna, we did the Kickstarter route, which I think you've
Yeah.
done. And it's just a whole, like, raising money is very like not only like fine but necessary a lot of the time. Like you have to do some kind of crowdfunding.
Yeah.
But I think you probably know as well as I do that it's just laborious. It sucks. It's just a lot to think about, a lot to worry about. Even whenever you raise the money, it's like, cool, the money's raised. Now we have all these perks that we promised people that we got to make sure we're on top of, get out and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So it's a pain in the ass a little bit. But she wanted to offer me 5K to make a film. And I was like, cool. And then the scrappy indie filmmaker in me, that I always make movies for pretty cheap, I was like, hey, could I make like a couple movies with that? And she was like, honestly, yeah, do whatever you want with the money. Like, I just wanted to give it to you to, and she's going to get an EP credit, that was of interest to her. And,
Yeah.
but really, she just wanted to help me out. So having that money, I was like, well, why don't we just make a couple things leading up to when we can shoot nonstop more in like the fall when it cools down. So that was the plan. And we plan to do a few. I did one in June called Us Plus One. It's kind of like it's a comedy, but it's really weird and quirky. And then in August, I did one called Phantasmic. That's a horror film. And then in September, Zach did his. And then in October, we got together and did Nonstop. So we released one film and we made four in 2023.
Oh my goodness.
All,
Congrats.
all short films. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, but the amount of work that goes into it, like, you know,
Yeah, I'm dead.
I
Like
know
I
you're dead.
really towards the end of it, I was hating it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
What do
just
you do
so
when you
much.
hate it? How do you cope with that feeling?
That's a really good question. Me, I'm a psycho, so I just push through it, and I just accept it in my mind that like, well, this is what you want to do for a living, and this is the commitment that you made to yourself.
Yeah.
So, the only other thing you could do is quit, and you're not doing that. So it's like I just try to push it out of my mind when I'm like, it's probably not super healthy, but like, when I'm like too exhausted and I really probably need to like take a step back, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Like just keep going, keep going. Um, and that's how it goes sometimes. But like, I mean, all it takes really is seeing one like really good movie, either one that I've always loved or something new that like just reinvigorates that feeling of like, oh my God, like that's the magic of movies. And that's why I love them and why I want to make them.
Yeah, you know what? I can relate to that actually.
Mhm.
It's like whenever you're exhausted by like creatively exhausted, that's what I call it. And you just need something to be like poured into you mentally, like
Mhm.
some other people's work that inspires you or whatever. So
Mhm.
you can have that kind of recharge yourself or
Mhm. And
recharge
it's
your
always the
creative.
Scooby-Doo movie with Matthew Lillard. It's that every time.
Oh yeah, for me it's a Cinderella story.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, nice.
yeah.
Beautiful. I don't know what my real one is. Honestly, like, fuck. I don't know. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in and what. Because let me ask you this, like, because
Yeah.
Nana is
Yeah.
very much like a dramedy, and because
Yeah.
well, no, it's just a drama kind of. There's some funny stuff in there though too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it feels like it's in that vein. And is are you like a one genre kind of person, or are you like wanting to branch out and do, other things?
Uh, so I'm gravitating more towards comedy, just
Yeah,
because, that's how I live my life through the lens of, comedy, sarcasm, and dark humor.
yeah.
So
Oh, I haven't
even
noticed really. No, I'm just playing. I got you.
so see, I found that joke funny because of my lens that's right in front of
There you
me.
go. There you go.
But anyway, yeah, I've been editing actually my new short film called Thank You. And last night I was editing it, and it's like a heavy drama, like about this Ukrainian girl who's like dealing with some war related stuff, trying to solve
Mm,
some problems. And during a lunch with her American friends slash colleagues, and
mhm,
they're not really understanding what's going on, and she's kind of in her own bubble. So I was editing, and it's like a drama, nothing was supposed to be funny in it, but I found something and I did the cut, and it was so funny to me. Like I just could not. It's like it's funny because it was so ridiculous, like given this
mhm,
situation.
mhm,
Um, so we just like intercut between the two scenes, and the actresses I had and who read the script, and they all said, okay, like this is like dark humor, like this is kind of funny in a way. So I think whatever genre I do, I still have that foundation. You
mhm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Foundation of sarcasm, foundation of dark humor, and the
Mhm,
foundation of that, whatever the story itself is not taking itself seriously, kind of.
mhm,
So in Nana, there's stuff like that too, it's like funny, but then sad, but then also funny. And I really felt it when I screened it for the first time at my first festival this
mhm,
year.
mhm. Yeah.
LA Shorts. It was kind of big, so
Mhm.
let me tell you this. I know you didn't ask yet, but I'm just gonna talk about film festival. Anyway,
Yeah, no, please do.
my first film festival was called LA Shorts, and it's
Mhm.
like a Academy Award qualifying
Qualifying.
festival.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like this was my first notification on Film Freeway because I submitted to a bunch. This was my first notification. You got accepted. And then all the people I know, they're like, oh, yeah, it's probably going to be like one of those, like five people show up and whatever, like I mean, that's how film festivals are.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So I show up, the opening night, there's like a huge line outside. And I'm like, is that what is this? This festival is a really big deal. So,
Yeah.
and then my screening, like the theater was literally packed, like my
Mhm.
block, like no available seats. And I think some people
Wow.
wanted to get in and they didn't let them because like it was packed. And
Wow.
I know it was like nerve
Yeah,
wracking.
for sure. Yeah, that is a big
Yeah.
festival though.
And you know who was in the
Yeah.
audience? The guy who directed Shang-Chi. I can't
Destin
recall.
Daniel Cretton?
Yeah.
No shit.
You know,
I actually love that dude.
funny
His first
thing.
film, Short Term 12, is one of my all-time favorite
Yeah,
films.
so like I knew who he is, obviously, but like I couldn't place the name and the face together.
Uh-huh.
And I was like on stage answering some Q&A, and then I see this guy, and I'm like, oh, like he looks familiar. Maybe it's someone from work because I invited a bunch of people.
Uh-huh. Maybe
And
someone from
yeah,
work.
that's what like that was my first thought. And then
Uh-huh.
I slowly started to realize. And then when we were walking up, after the Q&A, my producer, he was like, do you like Marvel? Just
Uh-huh.
randomly. He was like, oh, like the director like is here in the audience. Like I wonder what he's doing here. And
Yeah.
my producer was like, oh yeah, he's probably scouting for talent. I'm like, oh, probably not, but
Yeah. Oh
um,
man, that's
yeah,
crazy.
that was crazy. That was my first festival experience. And I just hearing how the audience reacts and how people kind of like laugh certain parts and they like
Hmm.
gasp, and it was, and the girl behind me, she was sitting behind me, and she was like, at the end, she was like, oh, that's crazy.
Hmm.
That was such a cool thing to hear. And
Yeah.
I just love, the combination of things and funny
Hmm.
stuff, sad stuff, and like everything, all of
Yeah.
it, all parts of human experience, I guess. Yeah.
Same. Our film festival right now, our big one in St. Louis, the St.
Oh yeah,
Louis
congrats
International
on
Film
that. Yeah.
Festival.
You went
Yeah.
over the weekend, right? You screened something?
Yeah, we screened something, and that's not even the coolest part. That was cool and it was fun. But the past two, well, actually no, 2 nights ago, but for 2 nights in a row, I went and Alexander Payne was screening his movies and talking about like, comedy and sad and just life, kind of like
Yeah.
movies that just depict life. I feel like he's like the king of that, or one of the best filmmakers doing that. And we watched his new one called The Holdovers on night one with Paul Giamatti. He wasn't there, Paul Giamatti, but
Okay.
he's the star, and it's a great movie. And Alexander Payne, did a whole Q&A and just an interview about himself, and it was really awesome. And then the next night he screened The Descendants. Have you ever seen that? George Clooney and
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good. That was my first time ever watching it.
Okay.
And then he did a Q&A after, but like, yeah, just it was a reminder to me of like, because honestly too, this isn't like to toot my own horn because I'm really far off from Alexander Payne, but when I was writing Suplex, a script I wrote in film school, it's a feature about like a young guy in a small Missouri town. He's like 18. He's kind of a coward, he doesn't have a lot of confidence. But he's obsessed with professional wrestling, but he lives in this abusive home, and he just wants to get out of his little town and like go live life, but he's
Yeah.
scared to make the jump. And there's like this little backyard wrestling league in his town that's like real gritty and violent, and all these kids basically just beating the shit out of each other and filming it on camcorders.
Yeah.
And he joins that wrestling league to like find courage, but it's very much comedic. But there's elements of like, drug abuse and like an abusive household and all these things. This kid really is living a tough life. And my professor compared it to he was like, this is kind of like Alexander Payne stuff, and that made me go down the rabbit hole of Alexander Payne. And I was like, oh shit, like this is exactly the kind of stuff I want to do. Like Nebraska is one of my favorite movies. And so knowing that and just like going to that screening for 2 nights and watching his movies with him in the audience was like a reminder to me of like, that's truly my favorite shit. Like movies that
Oh,
do that, like
that's so
movies that are
special.
comedic and dramatic, and
Yeah.
they just talk about the life experience. Because in the past year, honestly, a lot of the stuff I've done has been comedy, but it's also horror, or comedy and it's thriller, or whatever. And really my feature work is different. My feature work is more like, Ladybird type of like,
My
maybe like
favorite, one of my
Nebraska.
favorites, Lady
Is it?
Bird.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love Ladybird. The feature that's doing the most for me right now and is hopefully going to get made soon. Um, a big comp is Ladybird. Um, but
Oh,
yeah, it's like
okay.
I'm a big fan of that, just like talking about the life experience. And honestly, it's I can't wait to see your next film. It's
Uh-huh.
so cool to hear. I mean, it's obviously a terribly tragic topic, but I know it's something that you're very passionate about, which is what's going on in Ukraine, what's been going on for, years now.
Yeah.
But to hear that you made a film about it and you tried to find a place of levity while still talking about the very real feelings you have about it. I just think that's awesome. Have you ever seen The Big Sick?
I don't think so.
It's Kumail
The Big
Nanjiani.
Sick. Sounds
Yeah,
really familiar.
Kumail Nanjiani and Zoe Kazan. There's a joke in it where obviously Kumail Nanjiani's Pakistani
Uh-huh.
and very much a brown guy in appearance. And he's talking to his girlfriend's white parents, and one of them's Ray Romano. And
Oh,
Ray
The Big
Romano,
Sick. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course
you
I
remember
saw it.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course
yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I was
One of my
like,
favorite.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. One of my favorite jokes in it is Ray Romano the first time they meet, he's like, so 9/11, you know, and he's like, what do you think? And Camille's like, you want to know my thoughts on 9/11? And he's like, yeah, I mean, what'd you think about it? And he's like, oh, I mean, 9/11 was a terrible tragedy. I mean, we lost nine of our best guys. And like, it's just
I
like shit
remember
like that, like jokes like that, where you can take a terrible tragedy, but just flip it on its head and make a joke that's not really like, it's not in super poor taste. It's just like, it's
Yeah.
funny because it's inappropriate, but it's not like
Yeah.
disgusting. That's a talent. Like, that's a comedic talent.
No, exactly. And well, thank you for saying that. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to finishing that film too, because it's very special to me, you know. And
Mhm.
there is a joke, not to spoil it, but there's like a joke about Putin there
Oh, okay. I can't wait.
coming from this like white American older lady.
Hmm.
And my description in the script of her was a Republican but doesn't talk about it.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
So yeah, so like at some point she makes a joke and
Yeah.
it's like and the actress who played it, she was like, "Oh, this is dark." Like
Hmm.
this is I love that. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to do stuff like that, and I love Greta Gerwig too. So I think
Hmm.
so first of all, I think Lady Bird was my very first script that I read.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was something that inspired me like a lot, to
Hmm.
write. And and Greta Gerwig, just her personality, because I
Yeah.
was like watching her interview. I think it was back in what, 2018, 2017. I
Hmm.
was watching her interviews and like, damn, like she is so cool. Just, just
Hmm.
her personality is so amazing, it
Yeah.
seems like,
Yeah.
and like
She's awesome.
really,
Yeah. Yeah.
really, really talented. And I do see that in your films too, because like, I did watch a lot of short films. I think we're running out of time. So 10 minutes. So
Hmm.
I did watch a lot of short films, by different people, but I think really stood out, your short
Hmm.
film,
Hmm.
because it had that like A24 quality to it. I don't know how
Oh,
to
thank you.
I don't know how
Was
to
it
explain it.
Ethan and Edna?
Ethan and Edna, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
Captcha as well, but Captcha is more like silly one,
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a glorified comedy sketch, in my
I
opinion, more than
love
short
that.
film.
Like it's
Yeah.
so entertaining, but Ethan and Edna really touched my heart.
Oh,
And
thank you.
like the scene where he's like mowing the lawn, I think, right? Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was just like, I want to put the A24 on there
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah.
I
I'm
don't know
surprised
why,
I
it
didn't
just
do that
feels like
for
it.
myself as an ego thing.
It just feels like it. So
Yeah.
I really like that movie because it was touching, it was funny, and
Mhm.
it's about grandma. And I think both you and me made movies about grandma.
We made grandma movies. I
We
know.
made
That's
grandma. It
hilarious.
can be like double short at some point, like
We should do a double feature.
we
Yeah.
should do like a double, yeah,
Yeah.
because they're not features,
How
but they're double shorts.
yeah, double short, you're right.
Double short.
How long is your film?
Nana is nine
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, okay. So we could have like a 30-minute
Yeah,
double short.
we can have a
That would
30-minute
work.
double short. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd
With
be
the
great.
with an hour and a half Q&A afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Just
Yeah.
for the egos.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll get Dustin Daniel Cretton to come and be
Yeah.
in the audience.
We'll invite him and
Yeah.
I'll finally learn his name.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I
Yeah.
can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm really bad with like names and titles, and it's just, I don't know. I hope it gets better at some point.
Yeah. It's a lot to
Um,
remember.
but what is your, so you made this year, you made what, three? Three. So what is your
Yep.
favorite one out of three that you made?
Oh man. So they're all works in progress and it's kind of hard to say.
Okay.
Um yeah, I mean it's kind of hard. I mean, like, they don't even have score yet. And score is what makes the movie, like, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and they're all very different. Like Us Plus One is the one we made in June. And that's like a comedy, but it's also kind of like a satirical romance. Like, it's like leaning into all like the tropes of a romance, or even like almost like low-key like soap opera-ish, taking itself very, very serious with a bit of a stupid premise. which
Okay.
is kind of like what Captcha did. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it treats it like a very serious sci-fi thriller, but it's
Yeah.
at the end of the day dumb.
Yeah.
And I really like doing that. But on a feature level, it would be a lot harder to do that. So really, like, I kind of am a different filmmaker, I feel like, as a short filmmaker than I
Really?
intend to be as a feature filmmaker. Yeah. Like,
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
short films, you only have so much time to tell a story, and it's kind of like the perfect. That's why I think comedy and horror shorts play so well because it's kind of similar. Like, comedy, you set up a joke, you lean into that joke a few times, and then it's over, and it's great. Horror, you come up with, a scare, and a couple scares coming off of that main scare. What's scary about this? And that's it. Like, there, and you can just do like a gag, like comedy, you can do the same thing three times, the same joke, and it works. Or like horror, I don't know if you've seen the horror short Lights Out. It's a
No.
pretty famous one. So I'll spoil it, but it's a woman in her apartment and she is going to bed. It's like 2 minutes long. She's going
Mm-hmm.
to bed and she's walking into her bedroom and she clicks off the hallway light. And when she does, at the end of the hallway, she sees like a figure, like a shadow, like someone standing there. And she gets unsettled and turns the light on and there's no one there. And then she clicks it off again and it's there. Turns it on, it's gone. Clicks it on off again, it's now halfway closer to her down the hall, and and then it's like in her face, and she freaks out. But it's like, that's just a simple like horror gag. That's all it is. Like it's just like a simple scare tactic. There's no character development. We don't know who this woman is or anything about her.
Yeah.
But we're along for the ride because it's like it works in a short form. They made that into a feature, and I've never seen the feature, but what I know about the feature is that I don't think it was like critically received well. And I
Okay.
wonder if it's, because I just think expanding a feature out of a concept like that, where, there was no character development. Now it's like you're starting from scratch, building a character that we all, care about,
Yeah.
which is a taller task than many would believe. So like, I don't know. I just think short films, I'm different. Whereas my feature films, I really like, lean really heavily into the character and who is this character. And then it's fun to take just a really interesting person through different obstacles and different situations, that you just don't get to do in a short form. That's like why Ethan and Edna is my most character based thing so far, and it's like 20 minutes long,
Yeah.
which can be a bit of a dead zone for short films because it's just too long to get programmed.
It is, but it is so good.
Thank you. Thank you. That's like the truest representation of what I want to be as a feature filmmaker, I think, is Ethan and Edna. And then like Captcha and Us Plus One, those are just kind of like me working out the muscles of directing and framing shots,
Yeah.
and getting
Yeah.
getting performances that feel real and authentic.
Yeah.
But I'm also just kind of fucking around. Like I'm not trying to tell some like, big, beautiful story.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that I would rather do in long form. But that was me sneaking out of the question. If I had to name one of the three that's my favorite, I think it would be Nonstop.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just it's a really insane cocaine movie. Um, so it's like two guys are going to a bachelor party, and the only person that they can get coke from is a dude who they quit hanging out with after high school because he's just kind of a bum. He's kind of crazy, kind of a wild card. And as they grew older and started families and stuff, you just have to cut out certain people from your life
Yeah.
if they're not on the same path as you. So they take the chance and they go to this dude to get cocaine, this old friend, and the guy basically doesn't want them to leave right away and doesn't want the party to stop. And it's kind of like, I had, an issue with addiction, and I quit drinking alcohol and quit doing drugs about 6 years ago. So weirdly, it does sort of touch on that, in that this character that they go to see is just hell bent on never letting the party stop, which is
Uh-huh.
like a place that in the writing of this I could relate to, even though we were writing a very insane comedy. It's like that part of it was real to me. But it's just wild, and there's a lot of cocaine involved, and crazy performances, and some violence and stunts, and it was just a lot of fun to make.
Very cool. Congrats
Yeah,
on that. Did you complete
thank
it
you.
already? Or like
Yeah,
did
we
you
Yeah,
Where are you in the process?
we had an insane story. So like we were gonna do 4 days in Illinois, and that was gonna be it.
Uh-huh.
And we get out there, and day one goes pretty well, even though like the pre-production leading up to this movie was a nightmare. There was people who had came and went. They had to drop out last second because of like, very valid reasons. But it was like we just couldn't catch a break. And then we get out there, and day one goes great. And then day two, our hair and makeup girl, who also does like special effects makeup, which are a very big part of this production,
Hmm.
and our lead actor, one of them, came
Hmm.
down with, it was, we still don't know for sure. It was either a stomach bug or food poisoning. We're not entirely sure, but they were very, very sick. And it was just a nightmare. And we're like, we're 2 hours away from where we all live. So, we're staying in Airbnbs and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a nightmare. And because of that, the last day, which is the biggest stunt day, we just had to scrap. And we were like, we're just gonna come back and do it. So last Sunday we went and did our pickup day. So now, yeah, technically we're done shooting.
Yay.
There might be one or two things that we have to pick up, but I think everyone's pretty burnt out on nonstop right now.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Whatever you're saying.
Yes. Okay. So our meeting was on a 40-minute time limit, and we were running out, and Marina said, okay, I'm going to stop this, come back. And I was like, okay. And wouldn't it be funny, I said to you when I came back, if I just never came back and I deleted all my social media and just never talked to you again? And you said you have a movie about that, and I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear about it.
It's called He Doesn't Text Me. It's my
Oh
very
shit.
first
Yeah.
short film that I
Yeah.
think you saw. It was
Yeah,
like
I
a
saw it.
it was like a
Yeah.
two year
Hmm.
old at this point, 2-year-old film. And I
Hmm.
just
I made a
rewatched
whole
it.
YouTube video breaking it down and analyzing
Really?
it, actually. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
It's
three
four
minutes.
hours long.
It's 4 hours long. It's just three
Yeah.
minutes analyzing my every frame, pixel
Hmm.
by pixel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just rewatched. Well, okay, let's finish with you. You were telling us a crazy story how shit went down during your
Yeah.
pickup
So
day.
that was basically the end of it, but like people got sick. We had to cancel our fourth day and come back out 2 weeks later. And the thing that was stressful about it, though, is that, it was October 29th whenever we postponed. And every week that you get into November, every day really, like the colors are changing outside, the grass is changing, the leaves are falling, and all we have left are exteriors.
Oh
And it
my
was
God.
like, and
Oh,
we had already filmed some exteriors at the beginning of the movie, and everything's green, and the trees are, reasonably full with leaves, but
yeah.
they're falling even in the beginning shots. So it's like in 2 weeks, it's going to be a lot different. So we get out there and we can deal with that. But at the end of the day, we were running so low on time, and daylight savings happened. So around like 4:30 p.m., it's like totally dark out.
Ugh.
And we were running low on light, and our last like three shots the sun was basically completely down, almost totally, and we were lighting it with a light in the front yard, and trying just to shoot tights to like make it still look like daylight.
Hmm.
And from what I've seen in the footage, it's probably going to be okay. But yeah, we had to like scrap a little bit of our ending. We had to just kind of like do it in a slightly different way than we originally planned because we lost daylight and it was just gone. So it was this whole fucking thing, but I'm happy with it. I think it's going to be fine. That was nonstop.
Well, you know what they say, movies don't want to be made.
Yeah, do they say that, or did you just make that up? That's a good
No,
one.
a lot of people say that actually. I wish I made that up. No, a lot of people say
Yeah.
that. When I shot my most recent short about this based on like Ukraine war and
Hmm.
my personal story. So uh
Hmm.
like I knew that, well, first of all, we booked a restaurant for one day because they were
Hmm.
closed like Sunday, right? That's one day a
Hmm.
week, and we can't do
Hmm.
like Sunday and Monday or like Saturday and Sunday. So
Hmm.
it had to be done within one day. Although I promised to myself after Nana that I'm never gonna plan for one day of shooting for the short film, no matter how short, no matter
Hmm.
the script. But
Yep.
I did it. I did it again. And I planned for one day, and I said to all my department heads, hey, like, we need to do it in one day. Like we need to plan everything down to 1 minute. We
Mhm.
really need to, take it really seriously and know everything. So we broke down like the shot list frame by frame with the DP. We scouted so many times. We had at least 3 scouts with the DP, with
Mhm.
the gaffer and the DP, the production
Mhm.
designer and gaffer and the DP. so
Yeah.
so we were going like in and out, in and out. We knew about the place, the lighting, everything. Now,
Mhm.
we're having a Zoom meeting with all my department heads. We're shooting on Sunday. We're having our final Zoom meeting. I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday, leading to our Sunday. And then my first AD sends me a text like, have you seen the weather forecast? It's like so there's supposed to be a hurricane.
Oh my God. Jesus. Thought you were gonna say like a thunderstorm or something.
Hurricane, first
Okay.
ever in California since 1939. And guess
Mm.
when it's supposed to happen? It's
Sunday.
supposed to happen on Sunday.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect.
And I was like, well, I thought that it's just gonna be like a heavy rain. And
Mhm.
I was like sending people memes, like, the meme with Lady Gaga. She's talking about filming a music video, and she was like, and it started raining and thundering and lightning. And they were like, Gaga, shut the production. And she was like,
Uh-huh.
are you crazy? We got free rain. Shoot that shit.
Oh, that's hilarious. I've never
So
seen that, but
yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll send it to you. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was sending people memes. But then by Friday, shit got serious. And people are
Mhm.
calling me. It's like, hey, you might need to cancel it. I'm like, no, like we already have everything. We already booked like the equipment, we already renting stuff. We already pay for insurance policy. Like it's not refundable,
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, let's start doing that. And I told my first AD and my producer, you know what? Like if it's really, really, really bad. Like we'll see, because
Mhm.
Saturday leading to our shoot day was pretty good. It's like sunny, like things are like normal, in
Yeah.
LA. And then I told everyone, well, not everyone. I think I told my producer, my first AD, like if it's really bad, I will literally host everyone at my house, which was nearby, close
Mhm.
to the location. I will not let anyone drive in like the crazy Armageddon, end of the world like conditions.
Mhm.
So we wake up on Sunday. I think my first AD calls me. Did you wake up? I'm like, yes, I'm awake. And
Mhm.
it starts raining, and it gets worse and worse and worse with the rain.
Mhm.
So my sound guy
Yeah,
comes in
that's
on
their
set, like
dream for sure.
everyone is on set pretty much. We have our lead, we have pretty much everyone, and I think
Mhm.
like some actresses were already there, but not all the cast.
Mhm.
And then my producer calls me. He was like, and we start unloading all the equipment in the rain. Like we wear all these ridiculous raincoats.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah.
it's raining, but the
Yep.
restaurant owner is there. He was like, okay, like shoot it, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, so my producer calls me, is like, I feel really sorry to say that, but I think we would need to shut the set down because like it's raining really hard, and we don't know, because right now it's like only 7:30 or 8. Like we
Mhm.
don't know how bad it
Yep.
will get.
Yep.
And then me and my DP were like, okay, let's talk to him. And we all talked together like as a team, and we were like, okay, let's do it because it doesn't seem like really bad right now. Let's still do it because everybody's already here. So we'll
Mhm.
put our cast and crew in more danger by asking them to drive right now to drive back home.
Mhm.
So long story short, it was raining the whole day, but it wasn't like a hurricane type of rain. I think it was like a heavy, we had heavier rains in LA for sure. And I think the rainy weather and the overall like anxiety of everyone just added to the production value so much.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I'm telling you, like I woke up and I was literally spitting blood like this in the morning before my shoot. Yeah, I had like a nosebleed. I don't know what was happening to me, but I felt like I was dying.
Yeah, just
Like
from like stress.
just from stress. Yeah, like I had a migraine. Like the
Jesus.
day before that, I had a migraine because like everyone's
Yeah.
calling me about the hurricane, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And and I'm the one in charge, so I need to like lead people, like come up with some type of
Oh
decision,
yeah.
right?
I know the feeling. Yeah,
so
it's a
so
nightmare.
so I have a migraine. I was literally like picking up the unloading and the equipment with like a cold pack on my head. so,
Oh my
so
God.
it was, I don't know, and I forgot to eat like the day of the shoot. Forgot to eat, like I only ate like a little bit, just a tiny bit, which like
Yep.
contribute, but like I
Yep.
did well, I think. No one ever found out. I mean, unless they watch this interview, they will find out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I was dying. I was dying,
Oh
and
my
I thought,
gosh.
like nothing's gonna happen, or like everything's gonna fall apart. You know that feeling like before they shoot, like you
Yeah.
just think that everything is gonna fall apart,
Oh
and
yeah.
there are so many factors that are outside of your control too. But
Mm-hmm.
then I think like by the middle of the day, I had like a peace of mind, like, okay, this is happening. Like we did all of our exterior and we didn't have any permits. Like obviously that was another one of my worries. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're shooting like it's a busy street in LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
literally Main Street, so
Mm-hmm.
much foot traffic. But because of rain, it was not a lot of foot traffic.
Amazing.
So,
Yeah, that
you
kind of
know,
worked out.
it kind of worked out, and
Yeah.
it worked out for the drama of it all and for like the visual of it all, because we were worried about the sun when we were
Yeah.
scouting. We're like, oh my god, the sun is so bright, it doesn't
Mm.
fit the story.
But the clouds
Yeah,
overcasted that
the
sun.
clouds,
Oh,
the
perfect.
clouds, the clouds did the job. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Soften the light.
I can totally relate to what you're saying about like horror stories.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can
Filmmaking
totally
horror
relate to what you're
stories.
saying about bleeding out of every hole in your face whenever you go to shoot. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel you. The stress of it all is insane. And like that's what I've been feeling for like basically like I mean, I guess 5 months now. It's kind of starting to subside now because we're done with production.
Uh-huh.
But from fucking, we started pre-production on the one in June and April, and we just wrapped in November. And it's been a constant thing of like, right when we finished the one in June, June 30th, it was like, let's start pre production for the one in August. We have a month and 18 days sprint to get this thing going. And then when we wrapped that one, it was like we have, I think, 30 days before my friend Zach did his.
Yeah.
And then after that, we had 30 days until nonstop. And that's been the whole year, and it's been insane. But I relate to what you said too about forgetting to eat, because on
Yeah.
set I do that all the time. I can eat breakfast in the morning, but after that, once I'm there, like it's just kind of like the
Yeah.
anxiety of it all that I
Mm-hmm.
don't have much of an appetite for real.
Absolutely not. My lead actress, Sophia, she made me have lunch. She
Yeah,
was like, please have lunch.
yeah, and but it's
Please.
smart too. Like you need food. Your body needs food. It needs energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No,
but
I
yeah,
know. But I mean, how do you do that? I cannot imagine doing that. I mean, I feel overwhelmed, doing production, pre-production, production and post-production, and taking Nana to festivals, because like festivals take a
yeah,
lot of your energy. I don't know about you,
yeah.
but for me,
Hmm.
obviously I work full time. I work 9 to 6, and doing post, doing pre, doing like festivals, and festivals
Hmm.
have like opening and your showing day and your closing day, and you want to go to all of those,
Yeah,
and you want to look good too.
yeah,
Obviously.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and my very first festival, again, like I was down with the fever. Like it was not COVID, it was not even a cold, but I had like such high fever my very
Hmm.
first festival, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't feel nervous, but I think
Hmm.
on the inside I did, because my first Q&A, my first screening, whatever, I don't know how people will react.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's crazy. How do film
yeah.
festivals feel for you?
Um, if I'm doing the Q&A thing a little more intense,
Uh-huh.
Because yeah, you just got to sit up there, and it's like this weird in between thing for me, where I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I am a real filmmaker, yet I'm kind of not. I'm still on the way. And I just have this complex about me too. I've had, I guess, since I was young that like, when people, I'm just bad with compliments. So when
Uh-huh.
people say nice things about my work or about me personally or whatever, I'm like, oh, they're just being nice, whatever.
Yeah.
So I can sit on a stage in front of like, a couple hundred people and be like, oh, it's weird that all these people are here just like being polite. You know what I mean? Like
I
they didn't
know.
genuinely like it that much. They're all just being nice. And like that's the story I tell myself that like probably should get back into therapy. But yeah, it's definitely like a weird thing. But I have to say I enjoy it more now. My first festival experience was during the pandemic. So it
Sue.
was yeah, it was all over the internet and it
Okay.
was really weird. That was Tin Box, the second film I'd made. And we actually had pretty good luck with that one. Like it played in quite a few festivals, but they were all exclusively online, which
Okay.
sucked. And then Ethan and Edna was our first in-person experience, which was a ton of fun. But actually, that one didn't get into many festivals. I think like our success rate was pretty low with like getting selected, which
Okay.
again, 20-minute movie, it's kind of already hard.
Yeah.
But the ones that definitely was a bummer though, because I definitely felt like we made like a good festival movie
I think you
that
did.
felt
I think you
fest
did.
worthy. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and I'm glad I went through it because like, you as you know too from like not just film festivals, but like, screenwriting competitions and stuff. Have you done that stuff much? I feel like you have.
I think I did like a little bit during COVID, a little bit. Like I
Mhm.
submitted to a couple. So I think my win in that field was Austin.
Oh yeah.
So I
Yeah.
placed what, second round, I think, with
Yeah.
my pilot that I wrote. So I since rewrote that pilot and it's called I'm Dead.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a story about this girl who finds out she has cancer,
Hmm.
and she's kind of like in a weird place in life, doesn't like, she's late 20s, like doesn't really know who she is, and like her family hates her, like she's divorcing her husband, she has an affair going on, and doesn't like her job, and on top of that she finds out she has cancer. And then
Hmm.
she meets this girl. She doesn't have any friends. And she meets this girl and they kind of become friends, close. And then she finds out that that girl is her death. And now they have to stick together for 1 year before she dies. So,
Hmm.
like, that's the premise.
Yeah, and that was a second rounder at Austin.
Yeah, that was the second rounder in Austin. And I think I made it better since, but that gave me a type of, like, I kind of felt legit being there,
Hmm.
almost because I
Oh
got
yeah,
selected.
you went to the festival too,
I
right?
went to the festival. I mean, I
Yeah,
was going to go anyway, even if I didn't get selected. But since I got selected, I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah,
And then at
yeah.
Austin Film Festival, I started introducing myself to people as a writer director.
Mm,
So,
yeah,
and they were like, what did you direct? I'm like, oh, I just directed this a 3-minute short film by myself called He
yeah,
Doesn't Text Me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's not even out there, but I
yeah.
made I made a couple of friends there, and I it was a great experience. It was kind of the experience of, this is what I want to do and this is where I want to be. And I
Totally.
really enjoyed the panels with like filmmakers, not
Hmm.
necessarily, people who tell you how to get in the room, how to get an agent or a manager. Like if there was someone who was telling how to get an agent, I was like, oh, like, let's talk about film.
Yeah, yeah,
I was kind of like
yeah,
a little bit bored by that,
yeah,
um, information, but it was a ton of fun. Yeah, it was
yeah.
great.
And what
But
sucks too is that that information is like all necessary. That's the shitty thing, is like the business side of it all too is like a necessary evil to learn
well,
about.
like I love the business side of things, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, there's not any practical advice other than build relationships. And it's in
Yeah.
any business, insurance, finance, whatever. It's all based
Hmm.
on relationships. So like You can go to a ton of lectures and get advice on how to get an agent or manager, but if you don't know anyone and no one knows you, like good luck with that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
totally.
it's harsh, but it's true. But
It
you
is.
placed okay, I'm not gonna keep you for long because we've been chatting for like an hour already.
Oh, I don't
Uh
mind. I have nothing going on.
you have placed in a nickel, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
How was that?
Yeah, that was kind of the thing that really kicked things off for me in a big way. So like in 2020, I submitted two features to the nickel
Okay.
and neither of them got selected for anything. And I kind of went away and worked on those two features. This is when you were allowed to enter more than one thing. I think they've since made a rule where you can only submit one project each year.
Oh, probably
Uh,
after you. Probably after you got
yeah, they're like this guy's.
selected.
Yeah, yeah, I fucked things up. But like also, I think that's pretty crazy. I mean, I guess they're the academy, but it's pretty crazy to like self-impose a rule that cuts into your profit margin, because there are
Yeah.
writers out there who want to pay twice the fee, which is what I did to get two projects in, but
Yeah.
they made this rule and I actually respect that a lot because they want to pay careful attention to each project. And
Yeah.
um so yeah, 2020 neither of them get selected. 2021 I resubmit these like slightly rewritten projects and they both went pretty deep. One of them went to the semifinals, which I think is the top 150 out of, I forget how many were submitted that year, but like it was like over 10 grand. It was like a
Okay.
lot of scripts.
Okay.
And and it was the top 150. And then Suplex, that was Bellyache, a movie that's now in development, but and it's doing more for me than Suplex. But Suplex ironically went further in the nickel and it made it to the top 50. And I don't know where in the top 50, they only tell you top 50. But those two scripts went deep. And I remember like thinking, and I wonder if this will help like, newer writers or newer filmmakers trying to break in, but like I think when things like that happen for you, it's really important to remember that this is a window of momentum and they don't come around very often. But right now, you have some momentum, you have some traction. And I remember thinking in that moment, like, I need to make sure that when all the smoke clears from this nickel thing, that I have a manager. That was
Mm-hmm.
my goal. I want to have a manager after
Yeah.
this. So I started getting contacted by just a few, not many. Like, you hear those stories where like someone goes really deep in the nickel and then they have like, 100 emails all of a sudden from like
Yeah.
managers and agents and stuff. It wasn't like that for me. I think I talked to like three who actually sought me out. And then I was also like kind of pushing it on Twitter. That stuff can feel kind of gross, but like I do think it's necessary too that like whenever you have a win that can get you traction in the business, that you do post about it, and you
Oh
do
yeah.
kind of be your loudest advocate. And luckily,
Absolutely.
the screenwriting and film community on Twitter are all kind of really nice, supportive people, and we're all kind of all rooting for each other. So I was, shared around by people, and I think then I might have got a couple more meetings, and I had a producer friend who's kind of a mentor who was like, "Hey, let me send it out on your behalf," and I got a few meetings like that. In that whole mix of meetings, I actually took my least favorite meeting I've ever had in my life with a manager who just like it was a bummer of a meeting. um and it started out with I'm like getting ready to go into the Zoom meeting and I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, man, just like I did before everyone, like this could be your chance, just play it cool, hopefully this works. And I go into the Zoom room and the manager I was meeting with, one of the first things they said was hey, yeah, that's so cool about the nickel. Just want to let you know, full transparency, I don't want to represent you, but I'm just like thinking maybe, I can like give you advice. And it was just heartbreaking right off the bat. I was
Oh,
like,
I'm so
oh, okay,
sorry.
cool, that sounds good. And we ended up talking for a while and they were kind of just like Hollywooding me the whole time, like kind of just being a
What does that
dick.
mean? Hollywooding. I
Hollywood, I
love
think
that
just
word.
like, yeah, just like kind of like, I'm doing all these big flashy things and
Oh, like name
I'm
dropping?
gonna name drop and I'm gonna do
That's
this and
that's
that, you
bad
know.
manners in Hollywood. That's not true Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, a Missouri guy, we think you're a bunch of liberals out there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a liberal. But so anyway, that happens. And at the end of it, I ended up meeting my now manager, Jared Murray, at Epicenter.
Uh,
And we had a great meeting. And yeah, they ended up taking me on. And we've been working together ever since. We met in October 2021, and I signed with them December 2021. And then all of 2022, you know, I got to go on the whole like water bottle tour, as they call it, but it was all from my home in Missouri. It was all over Zoom
so you
because
gave yourself water bottles.
I just gave myself Ice Mountain water. Actually, no, I
Yeah.
usually was drinking out of like a refillable bottle like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
water bottle tour. And but yeah, I got to go on a bunch of meetings and stuff, and it was cool, but all that came from the nickel. And I just think, again, to reiterate, you know, if you have a big contest win, if you have a big film festival win or selection or whatever it is, you know, be loud about it. Cause I think, you know, for me, I knew as a writer outside of LA that the internet is going to be a big tool for me to try to even crack into this LA based industry from not LA. But even for LA people, you know, it's so much competition out there. And, you know, not that we're fighting against each other, but so many people are chasing this dream. And
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, it's even more condensed. So
Yeah.
it's like the internet can be a really valuable way, I think, to cut through some noise and, you know, be seen by someone who might help you. And that's what happened for me, and I still continue to use the internet in that way to, you know, I've had some cool opportunities come from just like making dick jokes on Twitter,
You're
you
pretty
know.
popular on Twitter. Like I remember how I found you. I got on Twitter maybe like summer 2021 and
Mm-hmm.
I had like 3 followers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to tweet about screenwriting, like filmmaking, and you followed me. Like you were one of the first people from the screenwriting Twitter who followed me.
Oh, cool.
And I followed you back, or I don't remember, maybe I followed you first. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I don't
But
remember.
it was pretty cool. And you know,
Yeah.
and you had at the time like maybe 1,000 or something like that. And now you have what, 20, 40 something?
No,
20?
I would have to check. I think it's like 20.
20.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is wild. Like I
That's
never would have.
wild. That's
Yeah, I
wild.
know. I got to admit too, like I think of those 20, like, you know, I don't know how many actually see my stuff.
10,000 are bots.
There are 10,000 porn bots,
10
yeah, and
10,000
I
porn
followed
bots.
every
Yeah.
one of them back.
Yeah.
No, I sought them out, just hoping they would follow me. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and also
Imagine
too,
imagine if the porn bot didn't follow you back.
yeah, I know. I'm just like, what the fuck? Oh man. Yeah, don't look at my who I'm
Like
following.
even
Look
if the
over
porn bot doesn't watch your story, that just tells about the quality of your content.
it. Yeah, my content and my whole like brand online. They're
Uh,
just like, yeah, we're good, and just
yeah.
like post the most like debauchery like type of shit you can imagine. But
But yeah.
but yeah, so like um you know, things have changed on there too, I feel like, since it became X.
Oh,
It just feels like
yeah.
now like the algorithm's all weird, and like, you know, the
Yeah.
screenwriting community just isn't what it was a couple years ago. It was so cool a couple years
It was
ago.
really fun. Like it was
Yeah.
really it had like a renaissance at the time and I really enjoyed, and I met so many cool people. And right now it's like just algorithm just doesn't show you like the people
No.
you're actually interested in like
Hmm.
seeing their content. But I can relate to what you're saying about posting online. And I think there's no shame in it. And I know so many filmmakers who do things, but they never post about them. I'm like,
Hmm.
well, how people are supposed to know that you're even making something, like
Yep.
no one really cares. I mean, it's not like no one really cares, but if me as a director, writer, producer, like I have to be the loudest about my project because like
Hmm.
my sound guy will not post about it, my
Right.
whoever, like my first CD is not gonna post about it. It
Yeah.
was just a gig for them, and i'm
Exactly.
i'm the creator, like I need to kind of
Hmm.
push that train forward all
Hmm.
the time. So
Hmm.
I think it's necessary, and it's
Hmm.
just like, you're making art for someone, like you're writing for someone to read, you're making your movies for someone to watch, and people need to know that they're out there, your films. And I was
Yeah.
so shamelessly self-promoting Nana when it was premiering at LA Shorts, and I think it was the weekend that Barbie and Oppenheimer premiered too.
Uh,
So I kind of jumped on that train,
yeah, I
because
did the
like
same thing with Captcha. Remember that? Oh yeah,
I remember
we
that.
played the same weekend.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It should have
I
been like a Capsh Barb Heimanana type thing, like
yeah.
all four of us in that club. But anyway, keep going. That was a
we
bad
should
joke.
we
Keep
should
going.
make like a four films, like Barbenheimer, I mean Oppenheimer, Barbie, Nana, Captcha, and we can also show Ethan and Edna.
Oh yeah, let's
It'll
do
be
it.
like a
Cool.
6 hour screening, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
That's
really like
amazing.
movies, you'll attend this one.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, so because you know what, people loved it, people thought it's super funny, and I'm sure people loved your promotion too. And I do remember you promoting stuff on Twitter, like, oh yeah, like this movie got 10 billion box office or something.
Yeah,
and i
something stupid. I don't
and
know.
I thought it's so funny, literally. So I I think yeah, it's it's great to self promote like that.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I've said that for a while too, that like, especially again being outside of LA, it's like if you're not talking about the things you're doing or talking about yourself, no one's gonna know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And that's very much like the antithesis of the goal of trying to
Yeah.
make it in Hollywood. Like you need to make sure people know you exist.
But in LA, because you're not really here, and when you move here,
Mm-hmm.
you will kind of see the other side of it, where
Mm-hmm.
everything that people talk about is themselves and what they do and their
Yeah.
projects. So that, it's a tricky balance. You obviously you
Yeah.
have to let people know what you're doing, but also don't be that annoying person at the party who only talks about their short films, because like
Yeah.
literally, you go to a party and you meet 15 people and 10 of them have short films in development, so or
Right.
like at different stages. So
Yeah.
obviously everyone is making something, everyone is a creator of some
Yeah.
kind. So yeah, it's definitely a balance that you need
Yeah.
to kind of maintain.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and like there's a big difference for me. I'm very okay at doing it online, but
Yeah.
in person I'm so terrible at it that like just last night I was at like a networking thing.
uh
It was a panel about our new tax incentives in Missouri. We just got new film tax incentives
oh wow.
that are pretty awesome and it was great, but after it was a networking event with all these filmmakers
Yeah.
and I did one lap and I talked to one guy who knew me. He approached me
Uh-huh.
and we were like friends on Twitter. But after that, I just looked around and I was like, yeah, nope, and I just left. And I do that all the time at networking events because like I don't know, it's just weird. Like I
Hey,
and also like
just one
yeah,
guy is a win anyway.
it's a win, right?
It's a
I did
win.
a pretty
It's a
good job
win.
last
You did
night.
a good
Yeah,
job. And you cannot meet like 10 to 15 people. If you connected to one or two, like
yeah,
genuinely connected, that's a win in
yeah, it's a
networking, I
win
think.
for sure.
So
You know,
no
I think I
shame
did a
on that.
pretty good job of talking to a human last night. I think I
Yes.
did not
Yes.
bad. Yeah.
I went to a networking event the other day, and literally, I walk in and I see my friend. So I, met my friend, met another guy who I know from another networking event.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of just talking, and I met a couple of new people, but to be fair, it's not my favorite thing to do, but every once in a while I do that. And there
Mm-hmm.
also it's like people who actually do something, like probably they don't really have the time. Maybe like me, like every once in a while, maybe like once or twice a year. But I don't know. It's just it's interesting. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how to solve that problem, like the
Yeah.
networking and making sense of it all.
Yeah, I
But
think I'm gonna start drinking again because I was much
no,
better at small talk when I was drinking.
no, no,
So I'm gonna
please
do
don't.
that. Yeah, I'm just
Please
gonna.
don't. But anyway, Andy, thank
Mhm.
you so much for this conversation. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed it. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for taking the time on the Friday night. Now you can go out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Bye.